Son of a bitch. It's really looking like this case is closed. It's like, no matter how messy everything seems, nobody seems to care. Not even him. I took on this case because there was a sense of mystery. Like, he was trying to make it some kind of game, but now, there's no point.
Package for Mr. Hayes.
I should have known. The case is finally closed. The world changes, and there's nothing you can... Wait. That's weird. What do you say, old friend? One last investigation for old time's sake? I understand that a few of you out there don't use Twitter, and understandably so, but most of you have probably heard the news about a new Into the Pit game that was leaked yesterday. I have to say, it looks amazing, has a unique art style, and overall I feel like it really captures that feeling of an indie project, which feels incredibly appropriate for what's meant to be a 10-year anniversary game. Which, by the way, this year will likely be one of the best years in the community as well, not only in Scott-led projects, but I expect a lot of fan-made content as well, as an homage to the series. With that being said, the fact that we are finally getting a game based on one of the Frights novels, this seems like the final nail in the coffin that Stitch Lines and Tales are indeed canon to the story. Regardless of all the weird inconsistencies between them, and yes, there are a lot, which is why so many people have assumed they weren't canon. After all, how can you in good conscience tell me that a character strong enough to trap William in a purgatory isn't introduced until the final game? In a minigame that shows a house in the middle of the woods owned by a guy driving a purple car in the rain with the file name Later That Night. Clearly referring to Andrew, some kid we've never heard of in either the games or the Silver Eyes at that point. I need to say this again, I don't dislike any of the books. My fondness for Scott's work doesn't stop at what medium he shows it through. Where my issues arise is with trying to make these stories fit together. Regardless of how theorists spin it, half of this new information that's incredibly important for solving those older games didn't exist in any way, shape, or form, or contradicts previously established information, which, while the Mimic might not be, Frights is 100% a giant retcon of the original story told in the games. The definition is right there before you try to pull the, well, people call everything a retcon. There is quite literally no way for us to have known Hudson was an unrelated character who just happened to work at Frights, or the fact that 6 kids were a part of the MCI, as mentioned in Into the Pit, despite the fact that it takes place in 1985, and Charlie was assumed to have died in 1983 as the first wound inflicted on Henry. But despite how disappointed I am in this direction, there is still one saving grace. And it's her. How? Well, in case some of you need a recap, Into the Pit sends Oswald to 1985, which suggests the location we are seeing should be the original location mentioned in FNAF 2 that was left to rot, where the MCI takes place. Meanwhile, Circus Babies, while debated a lot, is intended to be used as a location for William to kidnap more kids, suggesting he had already killed before building the Fun Times, not to mention the debated mention of it opening after the closing of Freddy's. And, if this is the first location to our knowledge, this shouldn't exist. It's paradoxical, unless of course, this isn't our timeline. Yeah, so? Wait, you agree? It says so, see? Well, I'll be damned. But doesn't this mean... This explains away that stupid baby picture, but doesn't stop them from being canon. But that doesn't mean the other arguments aren't... You know, I hate people like you. What? You sit here and complain about the series not being the way you like it, but then you go and get upset when other people do the same thing. If you don't like the direction the series went, then change it. Make your own game, and stop trying to ruin other players' experiences. That's actually not a bad idea. Not exactly just making games, but I could just adapt my own interpretation of the series for people that preferred them. But won't that just make you guys angry? Not really. I don't care what you do with your own universe. I just don't like theorists reaching for straws. It's time for you guys to rest. Sit back and enjoy the ride, you know? Plus, the mystery isn't over. It's just changed. At the end of the day, we both just want what's best for this franchise. So why are we fighting over imaginary problems? You never shut up about how we aren't Scott. You aren't either. So all we can do is let him tell his story, and trust he'll make it all come together. This is supposed to be fun, remember? You're right. I'm sorry. But can we agree Matthew was on a good streak? I'm not gonna sit here. While the case might never get solved, I have to say, it's been a hell of a fun ride, and I look forward to where it goes next. But hey, this was just a theory. A very, very stupid game theory. Thanks for watching. Mantane.